welcome back. It's time for another episode of CRM Radio today. Taking a look at the ever-changing CRM space with one of the men who's been there since the beginning, who's seen it evolve, who's tracking its movement as we speak, kind of like tracking Santa heading across the North Pole right now. Stacy Gentile. Hey, Stacy.
Hey, Paul. Well, I'll tell you, after Thanksgiving, I'm kind of feeling more and more like Santa.
Are you really? Okay. You want to explain that comment? I don't...
Yeah, we had a 22-pound turkey, and I think I ate half of it.
I see. You've gained a little weight here during the holidays.
I did.
Well, you're going to give us some weighty conversation today, I'm sure. Who'd you bring with you today?
Well, today we've got Maggie Strevell, who is the principal and owner for Neighbor Solutions out of, I believe it's Chicago, where they specialize in website design and email campaigns and search marketing, mobile, print, and social stuff. And today we are going to be talking about the 5 myths in digital marketing. Hi, Maggie.
Hey there. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
Great.
So the topic today is as I mentioned, the 5 myths about digital marketing. Maybe perhaps you can kind of give us the rundown on those right after you give us a little bit maybe about yourself and Neighbor Solutions and how long you've been there and what your thing is.
Oh, sure. Actually, Neighbor Solutions has been around since before Google was a search engine. So doing websites and, of course, it's evolving and constantly evolving digital marketing. Everything from building websites to driving traffic to it through, paid advertising or social media, email campaigns. It kind of runs the gamut.
Yeah, and it is a constantly changing landscape, is it not?
Always, yes.
Yeah, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. That's kind of like what they say in the Midwest. I know I grew up in Wisconsin, and that's pretty much the way it is in digital marketing.
Yes, even Google changes their algorithm hundreds of times per year, so keeping up with that is challenging.
So the 5 myths of digital marketing, maybe we can just run through those really quickly, and then what we'll do is we'll just kind of take them one at a time and kind of peel back the onion. How does that sound?
Sure, that sounds terrific. So, basically, if you go online and look up the top myths, I chose these just because these are things I think we see on a regular basis. So the first being if you're doing paid search advertising, which is bidding on keywords and someone's clicking on those ads, that the more you bid, the higher your ad position is going to be. Not necessarily true. Another thing is people, they don't really worry about their website being mobile friendly. Maybe, in fact, if you ask them, they would be, but they've neglected that part of their website and search experience for their customers. The third would be that they just can't afford digital marketing. So, your small companies, even on the tightest budgets, can partake in digital marketing. And then the fourth thing that we had was that a bad review could possibly ruin your business, which is not necessarily true. And then the fifth thing that we had is that, people just assume that when you send an email that it's going to arrive where you're going to send it to. So if you don't see a bounce message, that you just make the assumption that somebody received something. And that's probably not a good assumption to make.
I know coming up with just 5 of these is probably difficult because there's so many more. As you're aware, the world of marketing has become exponentially, I think, more complex. There's more tools, there's more strategies, and more companies in the space, and everything is so dynamically changing. This list could probably go on for hundreds, right?
For sure.
Right. Okay, so let's break them apart. Let's take them in order here. Let's talk about number 1, where the higher bid equals a higher ad position. You want to kind of dissect that for us?
So, for those who aren't aware, in Google Ads, if you're bidding on a keyword that someone's typing in the search engine and you want your ad to show, you typically pay when someone clicks on that ad, typically. You would assume that the more you bid on that keyword, that the position of your ad on that page would be higher. And that's just not necessarily true. So there's just a lot of ad ranking factors that go into whether or not you get that top position in the ad. The keyword relevance of your ad, the relevance of that keyword to your landing page, the historical ad performance of your ad campaigns, which could be your click-through rate, your conversion history over time, the landing experience in general. So when somebody finally gets to the page that you're trying to send them to, that they don't bounce from that, meaning they don't, click the back button and go somewhere else. That there's some sort of stickiness to that landing page, that they get to that page and stay there, and that the page loads fast. There's just
and I mean that's a lot of things that go into those quality scores, and I think oftentimes with Google a little bit of it's black box. So they might say something like it's landing page experience, or it's the click through rates, or those types of things, but it's not really clearly defined how it's balanced or how it's measured against the competition. So I think when it comes down to what ad they put in front of the other one, I think it's a really complicated algorithm, and I don't know if there's really one thing to focus on versus the other. So how do you advise your clients on what to pay a weighted or more attention to get that higher ad position placement?
Google ads in particular, you've got quality score, which is a number that they give your ad. So, if they're giving you a low number, that's something that you might want to consider. Well, there's probably something wrong with this campaign somewhere. If your click-through rate is really low, and I would say, anything below 1% would indicate something is not right with your ad, meaning your keyword's too broad, or the landing page doesn't match with what people are actually trying to find, as far as like your bounce rate.
And then the second one that you had on your list was about mobile, right?
Yes, about mobile. So, and mobile friendly would mean being responsive. You may have heard people say responsive. So, designing your website so that it's looking good on all device sizes, every browser, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Safari, any app in which your website might be displayed on. Roughly 60% of all Google searches are actually made on a mobile device.
That number's probably going to go up, don't you think?
Oh, for sure, yes.
And I think part of the reason behind that is, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think more and more people are using their phones because of social media. So they're on, their apps like Instagram and Facebook, and nowadays, TikTok or Snapchat, and they're on that stuff on a. There's a reason that Apple measures your screen time every week, right? Because people are so much on this. So it really serves as the gateway to get into a regular website, right? So if I'm on Instagram and maybe I see an ad for sunglasses or something, and I say, wow, what's going on with that? And I click it. I mean, those social media platforms become the gateway into those websites rather than sitting at a desktop and going in through a browser. And I think as that happens more, that's probably why that mobile responsiveness is going to become much more important, because the gateway has changed, correct?
Correct. That would be one aspect of it, for sure.
How do companies go about ensuring that their websites are mobile responsive? What is the way that they do that? I know WordPress, which is pretty popular, it's got 34% of the market, and they've got a lot of plugins and themes and stuff that kind of do it automatically, but that's still only 34% of the market. So that means other people are having to hard code it, or how are they going about achieving that?
Right. Well, and, you mentioned WordPress in particular. WordPress and all their plugins, with every plugin you install, you just up having another can of worms there. But so whether you're on WordPress or something else, open it up in your own phone and take a look. Can you click on the phone number for your business, or are you making people having to write it down and type it in their phone in order to call you? So
right.
Mobile and responsive simulators online. So, if you go look up a simulator of some sort to see how your website looks on the different types of mobile devices, if you're an Android user, you obviously would like to also know if it's working on Apple devices as well, right?
Yeah.
So these simulators will allow you to check that.
Do you think a lot of companies are really diving into looking at the different user experience on mobile versus the web, or even cross-platform between like an iPhone and an Android? Do you think that's something that they're doing to a large amount, or nowhere near enough?
Not near enough. So I think even with this holiday shopping experience, I've seen some of your larger retailers have some issues with certain types of pages where you've either had to scroll or it doesn't scroll down to the bottom where you can hit the add to cart button. I'm sure we've all probably experienced that or will experience that somewhere this Christmas season, right?
Right. So I think that's going to take us to our commercial break. And this might be a good chance for everybody who's listening to pull up their own website and check it during the ad. Take it away, Paul.
We know you rely on your CRM system, and it's usually a love-hate relationship. Most CRM systems, well, let's face it, they're expensive. They're hard to understand. People don't use them properly. And you're probably paying for features that you don't even want. If that's your case, then maybe it's time to simplify. It's time to get more from your CRM. Why don't you go back to the original? Trust Goldmine. We helped pioneer the industry, after all. Goldmine CRM is, well, it's simple, it's affordable, and it's proven. If all those sound appealing to you, if you're just tired of the CRM headaches that you're getting from trying to implement something that's just too complicated, too expensive, and too much for you to figure out, then why not go back to the original? Visit Goldmine today, goldmine.com. Hey, we got some echoes going on here, but we're going to echo the sentiments and say that so many websites out there, I just don't. You think they'd have it all dialed in by now, but they just don't. Why is this still such a mystery?
Well, it's something that takes a lot of time, and you got to have the right team on board to do it. And it's like in a lot of businesses, it's a touch point. You've got to inspect it. And it's unfortunately not just with the internet. I mean, companies just aren't doing a really good job of checking all of their customer touch points. When I used to do consulting, I'd always tell, a lot of the CEOs I was working with, I'm like, have you ever tried to call into your company to place an order?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, like even just the number of small businesses that don't pick up the phone.
Yeah.
You try to call them, I'm trying to give you money, and they actually don't pick up the phone.
Had it happen just the other day.
Their websites for responsiveness.
Had it happen to me just the other day. I was trying to order something. I was trying to actually hire somebody to do something, and their phone, they wouldn't answer the phone, went ring, 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 and then it went to voicemail, and voicemail was full. And I thought, you probably haven't checked it in months. I marvel at this. Well, I'd be curious to know your guest's take on this. Is it something that I'd say part of the problem is it's the Yellow Pages mentality, once and done. I did that once. Didn't I build a website once? I don't ever have to go look at it again. I wonder if that's part of the problem here. We're curious to know what your guest thinks about that. For
sure, I would have to say that most people just do a once and done, or they just get caught up in the day-to-day activities of their business. But they have to remember that website is their online salesperson. So you want to make sure your salesperson, the one that you're not really paying a salary for, is doing its job. And can you imagine, and I'll get off the line here, but can you imagine hiring a sales staff and then never, ever, ever checking on them? You just are out. They are out there. Hopefully, you hope that they're answering the phone. They hope they're doing something. That's what this automated stuff is. It's this unseen salesman. It's this original touch point, to Stacy's point, that we never, once we set it up, we think it's just going to do its thing forever.
And your website is absolutely the most public thing you're doing. I mean, it's there 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's the thing that, that adage where they say the buyer is walking themselves 70% through the sales cycle before they even reach out to you. How do you think they're doing that? It's your website. That's how they're doing it. They're comparing your website to your competitors. So let's continue on, Maggie, to number 3.
Yeah, actually, that conversation kind of goes right into, why you can't afford digital marketing is why you can afford digital marketing, because your website really is your online salesperson. So, it's probably the cheapest person you have to pay a salary for, in the end. So it's really budgeting for a website or any kind of digital marketing should really be seen as a necessary business investment, not just a one and done kind of expense.
Mm-hmm. So in saying that, do you think marketing's getting less expensive?
Well, there's, I think I mentioned this earlier, even the smallest of companies with the tightest budgets can find a way to do some digital marketing. So a lot of it would just be amount of effort, blogging or social media, those are, minimal in cost. Even managing your business profile. So, Google allows you to have to claim your business listing and manage that. There's a lot that can go into that, and that's just a matter of putting some time into it. And other business profiles, like, if you're on Yelp or some of these other social media places.
It's kind of apropos to be having a conversation about budgets. We just went over our internal budget yesterday, and part of the conversation that we were having was, holy cow, marketing's getting expensive. When we started looking at all the tools that we have to have, like all the graphic designer suites, the marketing automations tools, the CRM, the graphic design stuff, the SEO stuff, the SEM stuff, and we take a look at all the projects that we got going on between, the website and how much we're paying Google for advertising and what we got to pay our designers and for video development and content development and social and the stock photographies and the stock videos and the sounds and landing pages and podcasts and new digital demos and webinars. I mean, it's just getting really incredibly insane with the amount of skill sets and people that we have to put on staff or vendors we have to hire and everything. I think the price of things going up, like we were just talking about marketing automation platforms, how expensive those have gotten. I mean, they used to be charging per month, and now they say they're charging per month, and they're charging per year. And I mean, you look at something like HubSpot, you're looking at $5,000 to $10,000 a month. You're looking at like Marketo or something, you're going to be paying, over $50,000 a year for something like that, and all the people to run it and all the things that you got to plug into it and use, and the level of competition that's out there. I mean, it's just really crazy. To me, I think marketing's really gotten much more complex and much more expensive and much more diversified. Is that different than the world that you're seeing out there, Maggie?
Oh, no, I would agree with everything you just said. So certainly got more expensive, more diverse, more complicated. Like you say, lots of different skill sets. Hard to find all that skill sets in one place. So you've got to manage multiple vendors, multiple departments. And yes, it can be very expensive and
yeah. Like Paul and I were just, when we were talking, we were looking at the budget stuff and we were shifting things around, and we just kind of looked at each other and we were looking at these numbers and we're like, Jesus, if we went up and started a brand new company today, I mean, just the cost of entry to just get in and be competitive to market has really gone up just because of the cost of just the tools. Even if you're going to be a one-man shop doing everything yourself, and somehow you were blessed enough to have all those different skill sets, just to get the tools to be able to do the job is a barrier. I think it's almost like it's like Walmart pushing out the little guy. Don't you think? I mean, there are some ways that small businesses can compete, and I think social is probably one of them. I think the website is stuff of it, but do you have any opinions how does like the small guy starting up out of his garage compete when he needs to do all these things to just get in the game?
Well, there's obviously things that you can do, like I mentioned, blogging, social media, managing your business profiles. That's just a start. If you're a larger company that can afford some tools, we might be able to make some recommendations on where to put your money first. I see too, you mentioned paid search. A lot of people who've dabbled in paid search and said, hey, this is just way too expensive. Most likely that's because they're self-managing it. That's probably one of the things you just can't do yourself because, there's just so many nuts and bolts and parts and pieces there that if it's not set up properly, you're going to spend a lot more money and you're not going to get your return on investment that you're thinking you should.
Yeah. So that, I think, is a good segue into number 4 because we're running a little short on time because I think we really kind of dived into that expense one. But reviews, what's your opinions on the reviews there in the myth?
Well, the majority of customers do look at reviews to decide if they're going to make a purchase. But a bad review isn't such a bad thing. Customers know you're not perfect. And a total lack of a negative review could imply that you're either bearing the negative, which is not necessarily a good thing, or that maybe all your positive reviews are just not legitimate. So, but if you do get a bad review, don't panic. Just take the time to address your reviewer's concern, remedy the issue, reply to that, and let the public know, the people reading those bad reviews, that you care and that you're working on fixing that particular problem.
And for the audience who's out there listening, and if you do find a bad review that's out there on your business, I think the number one thing I'd recommend that you do is that you respond to that bad review on the same channel that you found it. So if you were on Twitter and you see somebody who's a little bent out of shape about some customer service issue with your company, you should respond to that on that channel in that same place where you found perhaps that bad review. So let's talk about number 5, about your myth about email there.
Yes, emails. Everybody just assumes that it's landing in the inbox. But you have to remember that emails are being filtered by the servers that are receiving them. Some end up in your inbox or the promotional tab in Gmail or even your spam folder. But understand the challenges that your email provider has to filter out all that unwanted and spammy email because, they're getting bombarded on a daily basis from all kinds of people trying to take advantage of them from around the world. Some of the things that you should probably do is obviously get with your digital marketing specialist or even your IT guy and review the technical details of your emails. Let them know what email marketing software solutions you're using, marketing automation solutions that you're using, to make sure that, that some of the technology things that they can implement for authenticating your email to these receiving servers so that an email doesn't look like it's being forged.
Yeah, and the biggest trick I still think with email marketing is narrowing your target audience and making sure that your message is of value to them rather than just blasting everything out to everybody and the spray and pray kind of method that I think way too many companies are using. So Maggie, it was wonderful to have you on the program today. It looks like we're out of time, but do you have? Is there any way people can get a hold of you if they wanted to learn more, or maybe you got some kind of Black Friday extended content or something they can download? How would people get a hold of you?
Actually, on social media, or just go to napersolutions.com. You can contact us through there.
Perfect. It was wonderful having you. Take it away, Paul.